this is Christina Barton. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about tragic news that some troops were killed over the weekend in a drone strike in Jordan, and the president is saying that they will retaliate. They don't want to start a new war or something, but they will retaliate, which makes me concerned because the last time I can think about our troops being killed and buying me like we're gonna retaliate, there was a retaliation, but it was incompetent and innocent people died and there was a cover up and etc. So I just have no confidence in this administration. Also, the border situation is a lot of passing footballs right now. The Biden administration is pretending like they can't just like do things to fix the border, and they're really trying to pass the blame on Republicans for not wanting to pass some kind of deal that would basically legitimize migrants illegally coming in, like to a certain amount, and then they shut down the border, when the truth is that they could just shut down the border. But before we get into the more serious things, something that was fun that kind of happened on Friday was Ben Shapiro dropped a rap album with Tom McDonald, and Nicki Minaj, noted it, and people were mad at Nicki Minaj. So I want to go through some of those tweets. But someone was mad at Nicki because she said that Ben was making fun of Black people. So if you heard the song, I think we played it a little bit. It is the #1 song on iTunes. So I think maybe it's likely that you heard it by now. We can listen to a little bit of it. But if we go through the lyrics, I don't see anything that's directed at Black people. Certainly things that are shaming hip hop culture and rap culture, sure, blatantly. But the sorts of things that they're mocking and shaming isn't applicable to me. It doesn't apply to me. And so I don't understand why people be like, yeah, they're making fun of Black people, unless you yourself are racist and you just associate Black people with these things that are negative, like being arrested and being whores. So that's not my life story. If it's yours, that's on you, baby girls. That's on you. But anyway, before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. It does cost to stream and run my website, all that stuff, so you guys can support. I very much do appreciate it. If you guys are watching on Facebook, you guys can send stars. If you're watching on YouTube, you guys can send super chats. And if you're watching this back later, you guys can send super thanks, and that is really helpful because sometimes YouTube things and doesn't want certain things monetized. So when you guys send that little extra, that does help. Also, you guys can check out different merch available at blacktnews.com, different mugs and t-shirts and so on that you guys can look at. So you guys can pick that stuff up. Also have different books that you guys can check out. If you just search my name on Amazon, you'll find it. But if you go to Black Tea News, go to the merchandise page, you'll find my stuff. And sad ending for the Lions last night. Really not surprised. I don't know anyone who was like actually thinking that the Lions were gonna end up in the Super Bowl. I know people were hopeful, but everyone that I talked to in real life was like, I don't expect him to win. And so it was still kind of like, oh dang it, because they were like up, and then all of a sudden I wasn't watching, I was just like kind of refreshing the Google with the results. And so like they were up, it was like 27 to 14 or something in the second quarter, I think. And then the third quarter, they just totally lost their lead. And then ended up like 31 to 34. So um but way better than it has been for a very, 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 very long time. And it was as I was saying, it was probably like a sign of the end times apocalypse. So perhaps it's for the best. But Ron DeSantis put out a video with his son, like guessing who was going to the Super Bowl. I'm like, that darn kid was right. He was right on the money. Right on the money. Anyway, something else I want to mention before I move on and get to the Ben story is some of you know that I've been going back and forth about something about the Percy Jackson books, and some people said that the casting of Athena's daughter, Annabeth, it made sense that they changed her to a black person because blonde women were overlooked and thought of as dumb. So black women have faced that particular stereotype 10 times over every day. So I've been saying that's not a stereotype of black women. Black women are not stereotyped as being dumb. So a lot of people are going back and forth with me in the comments, mostly a lot of young people with pronouns in their bios, right? And so one person in particular was like, "No, it is a stereotype, and I'm the only black girl in my class, and another black girl I talk to, they treat her like she's dumb. They treat me like I'm dumb, and I know four languages, and I read a lot of books." And so I looked at her profile. She I don't know how old she was, but she looked kind of young, and she had pronouns in her bio. And so we were going back and forth a bit, and I'm just like trying to get her to. She's from the UK, so I'm like, oh, I can't speak to how life is in the UK because I'm not in the UK. But she's just like, that's they don't want to put black women in. They keep them down in colleges. I'm like, well, we have like affirmative action, or at least we did. It got overturned, kind of in the Supreme Court last year. But so I'm just like, that's black women are killing in education. So the things that she's saying isn't like making sense on my end. Now I'm not from the UK, so I can't speak to all the things she was talking about. Um, but some of the things that she was saying just sounded like she was just really reaching and going with the woe is me sort of narrative. So then she's like, it's not just race, women are so oppressed, and like the wage gap. And so I'm like, wait, the wage gap is a myth, right? And she's like, no, it's not a myth. I'm like, no, yeah. I mean, there is a gap, but they take like all the numbers of the wages of men and women, and then they kind of just get the average out, and they're like, oh, men are paid 23 cents more for compared to like women or something. I'm like, if the wage gap was really real, why wouldn't employers, like, if they knew they could get away paying women 23 cents less, why wouldn't they just fire all the men and hire women? Sounds like a novel idea, but they don't do that. And I'm like, if you account for experience, if you account for education, job title, how many hours they put in, etc., then the wage gap will pretty much disappear. And I get the chance to really say this, but like there's still like some gap, but there's some things you can't really I don't know, there's some things they don't weigh when they look in these studies. Um and there's a psychological difference between like men and women. Like Professor Jordan Peterson will talk about how women are more agreeable than men. Not all women are agreeable, but it is a trait that's more prevalent in women. So when it comes to like negotiating a pay raise or something, a man will have an easier time doing that. And I'm not saying a woman doesn't have a just as good a case or a better case to be paid more, but people aren't just going to pay you more money generally. When the company, they're trying to make money. So sometimes you really have to make a case, and you have to be firm and kind of aggressive. And that's just a harder thing for women versus men. When I worked in sales, they talked about some kind of differences between men and women. Like when a woman hears a no, they'll take that more personally usually than a man will. Like it's I don't know, like they'll take it personally or something like that. So you have to really kind of train different people to do different kind of methods of sales techniques depending on the personality and stuff. They had us take personality test one time at work to kind of find different ways that were best suited for us to sell. And you just kind of had to learn to overcome those I don't know. It was selling was really hard for me. It wasn't my thing. It wasn't my thing. I was out there really trying hard to make the money, but it just wasn't my thing. There are people who were very natural at it, and women did very well. We were selling computers, especially because guys would come and they would, "Hey, pretty girl, sell them a computer," and people enthusiasts could tell pretty quickly whether you knew what you were talking about. So everybody, we did training all the time, so we knew what we were talking about. Um, but it was just I did okay in the sales area. It was just I had to push myself out of my comfort zone every day. And those of you hearing me talk about politics every day, you're probably like, "What?" Like I'm an extreme introvert. I'm extremely introverted. But anyway, um there's differences between men and women. So she wasn't really buying that. She was like, "Well, what about these different CEOs and the people at the World Economic Forums and all these people? You know more than them?" And I'm just like, "Well, yeah, I don't have a reason to lie to you or push this narrative like other people want to push the narrative." And I'm like, "Okay, you made a claim. Your claim is that the wage gap is real." I'm like, "Why don't you just present some evidence?" And so she comes back and she says, "Okay, I put it in Chat GPT twice. And according to Chat GPT, the wage gap exists." And I was a little stunned. And I said, um, Chat GPT, I'm like, "Why don't you actually look at some labor statistics as opposed to Chat GPT, which can be biased?" There's people try to run some Chat GPT prompts that are really wild that they like. I don't know, like sometimes it might tell a racist joke about white people, but if you ask them to say one about black people, it won't do it. Like there's different stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, the AI is programmed by some stuff, right? By some kind of it's getting information from some kind of worldview. It's not like it's just organic thought. So I didn't hear from her again, but and then I just started thinking, I'm like, all these people convinced that if someone treats them like they're not the brightest bulb are like, "Oh, it must be because I'm black." I'm like, what if it's just you? What if you said a dumb thing or did a dumb thing, or people just don't assume you're gonna say something wise because you're young? People underestimate young people all the time, you know. People underestimate people all the time in general. There can be people who you know and love and care about you, and you say, "I'm gonna do this thing," and they're just like, "Really?" They'll be like, "I don't see how that's gonna work out." They'll just doubt you. And that won't have anything to do with race. It's just some people are extremely doubtful. Some people have absolutely no hope. Or sometimes people observe your patterns and they just don't believe that you're going to change or put in the effort or whatever. But all these people automatically jumping to racism on stuff, like I need to see some more data on that because there's so many variables. I'm not trying to say there aren't racist people out there. There obviously are. And the people who are so convinced that there is racism end up doing a lot of racist stuff to somehow get rid of the racism or they keep just breathing new life into it again and again and again, like people who are see that there's like differences and outcomes as far as like grades or whatever, like in Oregon or whatever. I think it was a place where they're just like, we're going to scrap different standards of graduation because, or test taking because minorities are doing poorly. And instead of being like, well, what's the family life? What kind of resources do they have? Do they, people need more tutoring? They're like, just no, just scrap it. And then it just ends up putting more people at harm because you don't want to actually figure out what are the other variables that are causing the harm, and you just assume that having standards is racist instead. So I think we're causing more harm than good at this point in time, but just because you observe something doesn't make it true. I gotta respond to another video. Have you ever seen the TV show Avatar: The Last Airbender? Someone was watching it for the first time, I guess, and was recording their thoughts on TikTok. And they mentioned how the Fire Nation are paler than everyone else. And they're like, oh, did you notice how the light skinned people are going and colonizing everyone? Is that some kind of narrative, or are they trying to say something? I'm just like, if you're saying that they're the white people in the story, you can see the history of Japan. Because the Fire Nation is like a crescent shaped island that's like terrorizing these mainlands. Like, if you could just look at the map, like, and get that, like, none of the nations are like European-esque at all. So and people just kind of let her know in the comments, but and she's like, well, there's some colorism there. I'm like, there's nope, not like that at all. But people are so kind of desperate to read in to what they're watching, what they're how people, treat them, etc. Everything has to be broken down into some kind of, I don't know, racist hierarchy or something. It's crazy. Anyway, let's talk about the Ben Shapiro thing. Thank you for my listening to my rant. So Ben Shapiro has a #1 song on iTunes. Nicki dropped a new song, and I think that took over for a little bit. From what I understand, they did get #1 again. Here's Ben had posted that not too long ago. So really cool. I like the song. It's kind of awesome. Not because Ben is gonna make a career as a rapper. I'm sure they could I don't know, maybe do this a couple more times to get a couple more #1s. But it's a fun troll. And Tom McDonald already said it is a troll, and they want their song to be like Billboard's #1. And so he did describe it like as a troll on the industry, but he always complains about the industry and what they do to independent artists and how they'll suppress his stuff or whatever. But he does very well, and he sells, and he trends, and I see his stuff from time to time. So it's it's pretty funny. I'm gonna show this clip of bit. This was at the end of his show today. So he's playing into it, definitely having some fun for certain.
Sup. That's right. All you folks have been sticking around for my hip hop talk because, after all, I am America's #1 hip hop artist. Dr. Dreidel, Ben and M, Jupac, Ben with the Benjis. That's right, for shizzle. We're here to talk about the #1 song in America, according to iTunes, and that is Fact, my boy Tom McDonald. Now, I'll admit, my boy Tom did most of the heavy lifting on this song, but I was present, and indeed, I did rap. And I've contended before that if you can speak to a beat, you can rap. And this is a meritocracy right here. And so I present to you, without any further ado, the #1 song in America. Facts.
Okay, so then he played the song. We're not about to play it right now, but Tupac was kind of funny. Dr. Dreidel, I mean, he's saying things that other people have said to him. He didn't make up all those things on the spot, but yeah, he's having fun with it, and it's number one. So someone else who's having fun with it is also Nicki Minaj, which they do call her out in the song, not like anything harsh or whatever. He said Nicki take some notes. I just did this for fun, so that was a line, and so Nicki probably looking at her music to see where it's up on the charts and sees that Ben is number one. So she did end up, replying and talking about it. And Ben Shapiro put out a diss record. He said his comment sections are filled with woke Karens. The song is number one on iTunes, laughing, crying faces and stuff. What is really happening? And who's that other man rapping? Is this real life? He said, Nikki, take some notes. Nah. And she said, just listen to it. Not bad. Congrats on the number one, but Def sounds like Roman's Revenge. When the beat first came in, I don't know. I don't know what Roman's Revenge is. I'd have to look it up. But so she's saying it seems to sound similar to something else. So I'll have to, I don't know if I care enough to see, but maybe I'll look it up. So people were mad at Nicki for acknowledging the song at all. So I would say that I thought it showed that she was a good sport. That's what I thought. But again, folks are upset. Uh People were saying, "Oh, you're supporting this white supremacist." People were like, "He's making fun of rap. He's making fun of your colleagues about it." And people are saying you already lost your queer fans, and now this is a person who wants to take away the rights from your fans, and all kinds of crazy stuff. And so so many people believe things about Ben and other people in the conservative sphere, and they're just wrong. But someone says some rhetoric, they repeat the rhetoric. Like, have you guys ever seen, like, I don't know, videos in lines, like at these campus talks, and they're like, well, they're like, oh, they're racist. And they're like, well, can you say something that they said was racist? And they're like, well, wait, I can't think of anything, or I don't, because someone told them to be upset. There's a narrative going around and you just accept it. It's like people saying from the river to the sea and not knowing what river or sea we're talking about, or being aware of what that, phrase is. So they just repeat how they feel over and over and over and over and over and over and over again without any sort of facts, right? So people are mad at Nicki, and they retweeted her quote and are coming at her and are upset, and they're like, you just really trying to lose your fans and etc. Nicki, I don't think, cares so much about folks like that. I mean, she at one point rapped, I'm a Republican voting for Mitt Romney. You such and suches are messing up the economy. So I voted for Biden though last time, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know. But people were mad at Nicki some time ago over vaccines, and Joy Reid came for her because she said she knew somebody who got a vaccine and it was affecting their stuff, like their junk. And so she was just putting that information out there. All these people were mad because they're like, how dare you put out this information and it's not verified and it's probably not true, and you're contributing to vaccine hesitancy, etc. And I think like the White House got on the phone with her, or wanted to get on the phone with her, and she complained about how people wanted it was weird how much people wanted to come and kind of shut her down or talk to her or whatever about it, and get all these people on board with it and stuff. But I had this sort of thing she was saying about it. There were other reports of people saying that they had adverse reactions that made their stuff feel funny, and for the longest time they wouldn't admit that it affected a woman's period. It took them like a year to mention to kind of admit that, even though women were like well aware of the fact that things are going on in their bodies. So Nikki's someone who speaks her mind. So I thought she was a good sport. Like, I thought it was a little uncalled for Ben to like mention Nikki. Particularly, I think some people thought he meant Nikki Haley, not Nicki Minaj, when he mentioned her name. So I thought she was a good sport mentioning it. But people are mad at her and continue to be mad, I suppose. But right now, Facts appears to still be number one. However, there was one person who was mad at Nikki and claimed that the song was racist, or said, "Did you actually listen to the lyrics? He's mocking black people." So Sabby here, I think she's a YouTuber. I'm not very familiar with her. Well, I'm not familiar with her at all. That was the first time I ever saw her face or profile, her name. Let's actually look at the lyrics of the song. Like, people said this with the Jason Aldean song some months ago, and that wasn't really a racist song. That song, I could see why the Jason Aldean song was more problematic, but this one, no, it's not mocking black people. And we'll just go through the lyrics, and you guys can come to your own conclusion. You guys apparently know my opinion going in, but you guys can make your own sort of decisions on these lyrics, and you can tell me if anything in here made it seem like it was making fun of black people. Okay, you guys can just let me know. Let me know what you think. Okay. So let me move that over a little bit so I can see it a little better. Okay. This is Tom McDonald. They call me offensive, controversial. There's only two genders, boys and girls. They can't cancel my message because I'm the biggest independent rapper in the whole freaking world. Claim that I'm racist. Yeah, all right. That's kind of like mocking. Yeah, all right. I'm not ashamed because I'm white. If every Caucasian's a bigot, I guess every Muslim's a terrorist. Every liberal is right. I don't want to talk to folks who don't get it. Go woke, go broke, no hope. It's pathetic. Pro choice, pronouns, pro love. You're progressives, but you ain't pro gun. No one to protect it. Where's the American flags at? Remember when people would hang those? They've been taken down. They all been replaced with BLM flags on a rainbow. And here's a pre-chorus. This ain't rap. This ain't money, cars, and clothes. We ain't selling drugs. We ain't gonna overdose. We ain't pushing guns. Ain't promoting stripper poles. We won't turn your sons into thugs or your daughters into hoes. I don't care if I offend you. I was put here to upset you. You can cry and you can scream. You can riot in the streets. You defunded the police. Now there's no one to protect you. I hope I offend you. I ask myself, what would Ben do? Let's just keep it real. Facts don't care how you feel, man. If you want my pronouns, I'm the man. I'm the man who don't respect you. And I really like that line. And then Ben's verse comes in. Look at the stats. I've got the facts. My money like Lizzo. My pockets are fat. Homie, I'm epic. Don't be a WAP. And for those of you who don't know what a WAP is, someone had asked me on TikTok, and I don't want people to have to look that up if their innocent minds don't know what it is. But it's a very vulgar song by Megan the Stallion and or the Stallion and Cardi B, and it stands for. Well, I don't want you to have to look it up and have to hear the song or whatever, but it's wet a P word. So, as Ben would say, a dog. Okay. Anyway, homie, I'm epic. Don't be a wop. Dog, it's a yarmulke. Homie, no cap. That's probably my favorite line. Look at the graphics. Look at my charts. I mean, look at the graphs. Look at my charts. You're blowing money on strippers and cars. You're going to prison. I'm on television, dogs. No one knows who you are. Keep hating on me on the internet. My comment section, all woke Karens. And I make racks off compound interest. Y'all live with your parents. Nikki, take some notes. I just did this for fun. All my people, download this. Let's get a Billboard #1. So then it goes back into the pre-chorus, and then the I don't care if I offend you, etc. Blah blah blah. Now, anywhere in that song, did you feel that Ben Shapiro or Tom McDonald was making fun of black people? Anywhere in the song. They make fun of a black person, Lizzo, her weight, but that's based on her size, right? And she's very proud of her. I mean, she has a shtick, right? That she's fat, right? Body positivity or more to love, etc., etc. That's her thing. Whatever. So noticing she's fat is just like it is what it is, right? Um. So, is it? Do you think strippers and black people? Is that what people are thinking? Like, are you thinking people getting arrested and automatically thinking they're making fun of black people? Because I've never been arrested. Never been on a stripper pole. Yeah, that's if that speaks to you, Miss what was her name? Sabs. Let's go back to the tweet. Um Sabs. If that speaks to your life as a black woman, it's just your life, but that's well, as an individual. If that speaks to your life as an individual, that speaks to your life as an individual. But I know a lot of black women or black men who none of this relates to, that that would find far more in common with Ben Shapiro than they would with this hip hop culture. I liked that the song was like this is a good positive thing here that we're doing, and it's the opposite of the kind of culture like they acknowledge throughout the whole song, right, that or their whole entire purpose is to troll the music industry, to troll rap. Everyone knows that Ben Shapiro isn't a fan of rap. He's called it garbage or trash and other stuff. He's classically trained, and he just can't view it kind of in the same light. He's had people who've like made the case that rap is good and rap serves good purposes, and that it is actually music, etc. And so he's probably warmed on it more now, but he kind of has a snobby kind of elitist view of it, I suppose. But um but it is a troll because they do expect to get to, they are #1 and they want it to be the #1 song in the world. And Tom called it a troll, like it's no secret. So they are trolling, but they're mocking, and they're particularly also mocking the hip hop culture that they say is the industry standard, that talks about drugs, sex, and whores, and creates a climate that'll put a woman in a dog collar, and people booty shaking and all that stuff. So they're doing a contrast to that. That stuff is bad. This stuff is good. We're speaking facts, and you guys are into some different stuff, and y'all who are upset are woke Karens in the comments, and right. So they speak about shallow kind of cultural things that ruin society, and they're speaking truth, like boys and girls are different, and there's only boys and girls. You know, there's sperm and ova. There's no spegs out there, or sperms, however you want to call the combined made up thing. um and you can cry and you can scream and you can be upset or whatever, but it doesn't matter. I don't care if I offend you. As a matter of fact, that was my intention to do so. So I like the in your face kind of thing. Now, lyrically, do I think it's like the most amazing thing? There's some lines that I definitely like. Do I like think it's like an epic sort of song? I think the whole of it kind of makes it epic, but like it just kind of feels like here's some things that'll upset people. Let's put it slap it together and make a song, which I guess is kind of the point. So, I wouldn't give it a Grammy or something, but I guess there's a lot of things I wouldn't give a Grammy to. But no, not excuse me, not racist. Not about black people. And if you feel that way, if you look at these lyrics and you go, they're making fun of black people, I think you need to take a step back and take a step back. Go find your closest mirror. Perhaps it's in your bathroom, or maybe just take out your phone and switch the view so it's on selfie mode, right? Right? And just look at it and ask yourself, why am I a racist? Like, ask yourself those deep, thought-provoking questions, and stop doing whatever the answer is. Stop doing whatever the answer is. No, this song isn't racist. No, it's not making fun of black people. What the heck is wrong with you folks? Yes, it's making fun of hip hop culture. Yes, it's making fun of Mark Lamont Hill. Ended up saying something to Nicki Minaj, and I had saved the tweet, not on my computer, but I had downloaded it. Let me see. I can find it real quick. But they're just like, why are you they're making fun of your colleagues. Yeah, all that is true, sure. But so yeah, they do diss tracks all the time. So if they can do diss tracks, I can't find it, with their colleagues and people in the industry, what is it so crazy that someone else came in and just started saying stuff? I think it's great. It really gave me a good laugh. I guess while we're here, we can listen to a little bit in case you haven't heard it. Let me find it really quick on YouTube. I can also see how many views that it has so far. But it last time I looked, it was 5 million. It's a 6.9. I told my sister yesterday, I'm like, oh, it's got over 5 million. She's like, that's it. I'm like, that sounds like a lot to me. I'm like, it's not like they're a Korean pop group or something. Like they'll get like in the billions or whatever. So I'm gonna play the whole thing. I'll just play Ben's part. Or going into Ben's part. So I was so excited when I heard about this. And it's a fun troll. It's fun for me. A lot of people have downloaded and enjoyed it. I've listened to it a few times, but I just kind of get joy out of the project itself. Again, I don't think Ben's gonna be a Dr. Dreidel like at large, and it's gonna be making a lot of successes going forward with this. Like, I think there's only so many times you can kind of do it, pull it off before it gets too old. But here we go.
Your parents, Nikki, take some notes. I just did this with me on the internet. My dog is a
You want my pronouns, I'm the man who don't respect.
Let's look at the stats, I've got the facts. My money like Lizzo, my pockets are fat. Homie, I'm epic, don't be a whack. Dog, it's a yarmulke, homie, no cap. Look at the graphs, look at my charts. You're blowing money on strippers and cars. You go into prison, I'm on television. Dogs, no one knows who you are. Keep hating on me on the internet. My comment section all woke Karens. And I make racks off compound interest. Y'all live with your parents. Nikki, take some notes. I just did this for fun. All my people, download this. Let's get a Billboard #1.
This ain't rap, this ain't money, cars and clothes. We ain't selling drugs, we ain't gonna overdose. We ain't pushing guns, ain't promoting stripper poles. We won't turn your sons into thugs or your daughters into hoes. I don't care if I offend you. I was put here to upset you.
It's just funny. And what's really funny is that Ben can talk way faster than he rapped that. So just naturally when he talks on a show. So we were like, man, he really had to slow down to keep up with Tom there. Crazy comment here. Ellie said, I've been called racist for saying WAP didn't represent black people. That's what a white liberal told them. That's disgusting. I've never listened to WAP other than Ben Shapiro reading the lyrics, and this one person who makes songs of like different events or whatever, compiled Ben just reading the lyrics and fashioned it to the WAP music. So that's the pretty much the only time I've kind of heard it, but he censors it all out. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube to know what I'm talking about, but it's it's kind of funny, but it's still like, even with him censoring it, it's still gross. Like, but again, there's you know, that's just a sect of the music of the culture. It does not speak to a race, and there's different people who will, you know, contribute to that kind of culture that are not of particular races. Like when we're having the conversations about stupid people or stupid women or whatever, that's not there. You could say that there's, you know, I think the first thing that will go into people's minds is probably some of these girls who will go on whatever podcast or whatever, and they say something crazy and it goes viral and they get owned all the time by Brian or whoever he has on, or the girls who go on the Fresh Fit podcast and they'll say something really silly. But that's a sect. And there'll be women of all different ethnicities saying that kind of crazy stuff, but that doesn't speak to black women, white women, etc. That's just like a sect of the culture or whatever, that God help them. Because we definitely need to rebalance our lives. Anyway, let's talk about some more serious things. So over the weekend, we had a drone that ended up killing 3 Americans, and it also ended up injuring, I think, 34 in Jordan. And so I'm not surprised, because we've had reports of being attacked at our bases and other places for some time and not really retaliating back. And you're in the pickle of how much retaliation could really provoke into some kind of, I don't know, altercation that could lead to, you know, more firefights and perhaps a, I don't know, mini war or a new war or something. And you don't necessarily want to do that. But at the same time, you have to have some kind of level of deterrence, or people will know that you're weak and you're not going to push back. Now, what's concerning is that I do feel that there needs to be pushback. And let me just go ahead and play what Kirby said.
The President and the First Lady, as well as everyone in the administration, send their condolences to the family of those who were killed. No Blue Star family ever wants to become a Gold Star family. And sadly, there are now 3 more families on that roster. It's hard to imagine the grief that they're feeling right now and that they will feel for the rest of their lives. These troops were conducting a vital mission in the region aimed at helping us work with partners to counter ISIS. And even as the Defense Department gathers more information about the attack, that mission must and will continue. The counter-ISIS mission is separate and distinct. Indeed, it has been long-standing and unrelated to our efforts to support Israel and to prevent a wider conflict in the region. We do not seek another war. We do not seek to escalate. But we will absolutely do what is required to protect ourselves, to continue that mission, and to respond appropriately to these attacks.
So, this is a little article from USA Today. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but President Joe Biden's vow to swiftly respond to the weekend's drone attack that killed 3 U.S. troops and injured 34 others highlights more than just the harsh reality that violence has spread across the Middle East amid the war in Gaza. It also spotlights the risks faced by more than 40,000 U.S. troops deployed at multiple Middle East locations, as well as many more parts of the world that Americans may know about. Biden accused radical Iran-backed militants in Iraq and Syria for Saturday's attack in Tower 22, a U.S. military outpost in Jordan near the border with Syria. Islamic Resistance in Iraq claimed responsibility. The group is a loose coalition of militants supported by Iran who oppose U.S. support for Israel in the war in Gaza and American involvement in the region. More broadly, Iran denies any involvement in the weekend drone attack in the U.S. On the U.S. troops. So, I don't doubt that Biden is going to do something. Which I guess they've been pretty lax about other sort of attacks that have been going on since October 7th. But I don't doubt that they might do something, especially with people being aware that we had some troops that were killed. My concern is that when I think about Afghanistan so often and how we lost 13 troops because of how we pulled out, Biden's incompetence, etc. And I think about how we needed some kind of response or assurance, like even though we had little confidence, I had little confidence. And the president, I'm just like, we need some kind of strength, some kind of assurance or something after this terrible thing. Like, and then he promised that there would be some kind of strike, some kind of retaliation to these people who committed this. And so they launched a drone strike. And then they're like, the strike was true. And the strike was against an aid worker, not a terrorist. And at first they're like, oh, they're a terrorist. There's a secondary explosion. And there wasn't a secondary explosion. That was a lie. And they got exposed by, I don't know if it was first the New York Times that exposed them, but the New York Times exposed them pretty thoroughly. And it was an aid worker who had water canisters who was bringing water home. And it killed him and it killed some kids. And this was someone who wanted to come like over to the US and stuff. And as, Rand Paul pointed out when he was, questioning the Biden admin on this stuff, they're just like, these kinds of things like make people more likely to probably want to commit acts of terror when you get things kind of so wrong like that. And I know mistakes can happen, fog of war, so on, but no one like was reprimanded for that at all. Like at first they were dishonest about their success and then they called out for it, and then it was whatever. So the incompetence with this administration is just so extreme. I'm concerned by even when they try to look strong and issue some kind of deterrent or whatever, the radical repercussions that could follow. I just don't have confidence in them, and it's scary, I guess, that you could say that there's so many Americans that don't have confidence in Joe Biden, in the strength of the American military, or rather the competence of the American military right now. And if we feel that way, imagine what our enemies feel, right? They probably feel that, well, they can roll us over a bit right now or take advantage for as long as they can take advantage. Because, if we get a change in leadership, it's not going to be the case. There's so many like libertarian type folk that are just kind of ready for Trump to come back at the helm. And I'm just like he's not a crazy like neocon or something like that, but man's going to drop some bombs if he has to drop some bombs. So he's not like a pacifist candidate at all. People have such weird views of, I don't know, different people that they like, but there will definitely be a shift in mindsets. They'll probably be like, the madman is back. If he takes the helm, assuming that it will be him, which, that's just the kind of way that it's looking. So it's too bad. It's too bad that we're in this position. And I almost kind of don't want to play this clip of our press secretary. She just kind of stumbled when she talked about it today. It was kind of painful, but I downloaded the clip, so here we go.
What I will say, obviously our deepest condolences go out, and our heartfelt condolences go out to the families who lost three folks who are military folks, who are brave, who are always fighting, who are fighting on behalf of this administration, of the American people. Obviously, more importantly, we lost those souls.
Okay. Alrighty, press secretary, ladies and gentlemen. Last thing I want to mention before I let you guys go is that the border situation is still at a standoff, and the Biden administration, like Speaker Johnson, put out a statement saying that the president has authority; he can do something right now. Joe Biden put out a statement complaining about the Republicans, saying he's ready to sign something if they pass it. And Joe Biden can literally do something right now. As soon as he became president, he rolled back Remain in Mexico. He immediately wanted to start dismantling different things that Trump put in place that helped the situation on the border. That was their goal. Like, so if you don't think that you can, if you just roll at least that back, that would change a lot of things. The issue, like we need more border patrol agents and more money for that, etc. It won't change anything if you don't make the border patrol do their jobs. Like the border patrol agents, they're just like processing people and flooding them in the country. And like instead of holding people for their hearings or whatever for asylum, they're just kind of releasing people. And some of these people don't have a date until like years into the future. And you'll probably never see them again. They'll probably have established lives and maybe had kids and all kinds of got married, jobs, all kinds of stuff by the time those hearings come along, if they even show up. So there is a concerted effort with the Biden administration that they are pushing right now, that the Republicans need to pass something so he can sign it, so he can do anything. That is not true. He could do something right now, just like he did things as soon as he got in office. Day one, decided to roll back a lot of these things. He has the authority to act. He doesn't want to. He's just passing the ball along. And there were those reports about Trump wanting them to kill the deal. And they're like, oh, well, they just don't want to sign anything because they're waiting for Trump to get back in this election year. Oh, they don't really want to solve the problem, etc. Blah, blah, blah. From everything that I hear, it's a bad deal anyway. So it's probably part of the reason why Trump wanted to kill it. I don't know. I don't want to say I have no doubt, but Trump, it could be possible that people want to use stuff for political means or whatever. But the truth is, no matter what kind of rhetoric comes from Trump, no matter what kind of rhetoric comes from the House, from the Senate, Republicans or Democrats or whoever, the truth of the matter is that Joe Biden is the president of the United States, and he could take action right now to solve the problem. He doesn't want to. He does not want to, for whatever reason. We've theorized some of the reasons already in other broadcasts. I'm not going to go through the list today. But he can, but he doesn't want to. So he's pushing a narrative. Other Dems are pushing a narrative. The media is trying to help him push the narrative. Someone did it on Target. I thought these were clown emojis at first, and I'm like, yes, Biden is a clown, but but thank you. Yeah, he can do something. He doesn't want to. He just doesn't want to. So when you have conversations with people about the border situation that keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, just know that they could do something. And that's all I want to say about that today, but I'm sure there'll be more tomorrow. On a side note, I haven't read this article, but NBC put out an article like 4 hours ago that the former IRS contractor who leaked former President Trump's tax records has been sentenced to prison for 5 years. And on this Twitter page of where they posted it, the first comment, let me just share the screen really quickly. so you guys can see it. These crazy people. First comment, we have two legal systems: prison for little people who provide a public service, freedom for rich men who can and do commit any crime they feels like USA has already become Russia. Some people are like, you need more flags, man. Being sarcastic. But look at all these flags in their name. So free Palestine from the river to the sea. I block Zionists, maggots, Trump, Putin bots, male patriarchy, God bots, misogyny bots, crypto and porn cams. Well, I can agree with blocking the porn cams, and the crypto people can be kind of annoying. Trump, that's a crazy take considering how much Trump has been indicted. But if someone leaked your IRS records and stuff, like your tax records, wouldn't you want them to be punished? Like, wouldn't you want them to be punished if someone was just grabbing your stuff and leaking it? And what a crazy thing to go to jail for, because the stuff that was leaked, you guys remember when Rachel Maddow was so excited? She's like, we have the tax records, and she went through it, and it was kind of like, oh, well, he paid his taxes. So it was a huge dud. So I unless there was like some other stuff that this person leaked that got them in trouble, but uh, yeah, they should go to jail. Like they did something not legal. They did something not legal. And the nerve to put that comment under a post where they know Trump has been indicted for like 90, there's 91 like counts for different stuff between all the different cases. And he got hit with like having to pay that lady. I don't want to say too much about her. I don't have some $80 million to pay her. So yeah, he's I think it's $86 million. Jean E. Carroll. She's got some, I don't want to say much, but man, there's an interview she did with glasses. He wears glasses. Anderson Cooper, where she said that people think that rape is sexy. And Anderson had a trouble keeping his cool. She's like, you're fascinating to talk to. It was so weird. It was so bizarre. It was so bizarre. You guys can, if you haven't seen it, I recommend that you look it up. She's a strange bird for sure. She's a strange bird. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, videos, etc. For like what I do here. You guys can go to blacktnews.com and /donate, leave a donation there. It does help cost the stream and run my website, all that stuff. So it does really help when you guys do that. Again, you guys can send stars on Facebook, and if you're watching this back on YouTube, you guys can send super thanks, or I think, yeah, super thanks now. Check out different merch that we have available on the site. That does help as well. So go ahead and check out different merch. We got different t-shirts, we got mugs and so on. And if you guys are interested in any of my books, you guys can go to blacktnews.com, and if on the merchandise page there's a banner that's taking my book site, or you guys can search my name on Amazon and it'll pop up. So I did get an Amazon affiliate link, so I think I'll start just putting some stuff there that people can click over. I don't have it up yet, but I'll try to have that by tomorrow and stuff. So a lot of things that I still want you to go to my website and check out stuff, but like for some things that are kind of like offsite and stuff, you guys can pick up there. God bless you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.